It is time for a car boot retro game hunt with some remarkable surprises in this one. Two things in particular, but it will be even more awesome if they work. And just like that, we're on our way to the car boot. Jess, are you kind of more hopeful this time around than like last week?
Yeah, this one's bigger.
This one is huge. I mean, granted, the weather's only like 18 degrees Celsius. It's a little bit overcast, but I think I'm more optimistic this week.
Although there are more resellers of this stuff, though, that want retail prices there too.
Yes, true. But I've had some really good pulls. Turn the AC off because that's probably just going to. I've had some like really good pulls, some games at this car boot over the last couple of years. So fingers crossed. Next footage you see, we're gonna be there, guys. And yes, we finally clocked some jolly good retro games on this massive stall we're about to dive into. Don't go anywhere. So are you here every week?
Yes, darling.
Okay. Are they? I bet they're not originals, are they? Are they?
Darling.
No.
The maiden remake ones.
What? How much are they?
£8 each,
Oh,
darling.
no. Now you're probably thinking that some of these games are overpriced, but in part 2 I'm going to be telling you exactly what I paid for the entire lot of games that I picked up at this retro game hunt car boot loot, and I'm going to talk about what they're actually worth. So we're going to do like a bit of a versus video, so what I paid versus what the games are actually worth, just to see how much of a bargain these types of stalls actually are. Now later in the video I actually come across some Sega Mega Drive games, much to my glaring surprise. Well, you already know that because you've actually seen them in the thumbnail, if I remember to put them in the thumbnail. And I would say, just bobbing back to this stall, it was very nice to see such a variety of Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo Wii, Nintendo Wii U. I mean, there really was a plethora of games here, and personally guys, I don't think the prices were that bad at all. I have scanned a couple of the games that I bought in onto eBay just to have a look, just to get a flavour for what cheeky flea bayers are selling them for, and they're going for quite a lot. So again, part 2 will be what I paid for everything in this video, item by item, versus what they're worth. Now, one great thing about having you watch these videos is that you're always telling me and time-stamping games that I should have picked up, so thank you to everybody that pays extra close attention in these hunts, because I do make a note of things you tell me, and when I go back or when I go out on the £5 retro game hunts, I do pick up things that you've recommended. You know, last week I missed Bubble Bobble on the PS1, I just didn't see it, and I was kicking myself. But we weren't at that car boot this time, we were at a completely different one. This one was actually Twin Oaks at junction 29 on the M1. Highly recommend you guys check it out. Now, more often than not, I'm guilty of missing the games that sit on the floor underneath tables like the one you've just seen. So this may seem like a rather patronising tip, but do make sure that you don't miss anything on the floor when you're out at Car Boots, because Jess has often called me back to a stall and said, Gem, you've missed these X, Y, Z games. And I'm like, I didn't see them because I'm so in it. And if you're anything like me, you kind of stimuli is going just absolute crazy here. I could not get enough of this stuff, and when I saw it, I just approached the stall with like so many butterflies in my little belly that it was actually a good thing I did see that crate on the floor, because I did pick some things up. So definitely be sure, guys, to check the floor before you leave.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
15.
Look at that.
12.
Oh wow, look at that in the car. Look.
Hands up if you'd have purchased the mask.
There's so much more here compared to like the Ripley one. So much more.
I know it's not similar.
Want me to get it you off?
Wait, I'll let me see if I've
Right.
really got straight the barrel now.
So not a bad selection in this lot, and again, I am actually really stoked to see Xbox One games at Car Boots nowadays. I tended to see more Xbox One games at this Car Boot compared to PS4. If I did see PS4 stuff, it was like FIFA 16, 17, 18, so on and so forth. But yeah, I just kind of mentioned that because of the Xbox One games right there. And there was GTA on the PlayStation 1 for £1, which is a jolly good bargain, but I must own at least 2 copies of that. That's my beautiful puppy Molly. Shout out to her, I love you dearly. And later in this video you actually hear me sing to her.
Jan, odłóż. Odłóż, bo pójdziesz do auta. Proszę to odłożyć.
So some really cool toys in that last shot, some kind of action figures. I remember lots of them, like Action Men, because my brother had absolutely every Action Man going, it seemed. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if it wasn't for him, I'd probably not be as familiar with the bulk of the toys that I see at the retro game hunt. So shout out to my brother Scotty.
Antique side of things, the vintage bit. Oh, the PS4 game.
Yeah, I know. This is all like card and that. Call of Judah.
Yeah, see, I just watch a whole ton of like videos and stuff on it, but I'm so behind.
Yeah, I love her. I love being out.
Like, I used to do that with games, but now there's sometimes when you talk to girls, she's got like
I'm not even joking. This. Dude.
the way you were looking.
I had that. No way.
Spirograph, I had one of them.
Yeah, I had one of them.
Bit
Hey.
tight.
Oh, Gizmo. Awesome. Come on, Molly.
Gemma was making fun of me saying I was a hoarder because I wanted to go on the newspaper, left it in the car, but she had a thing.
So I kind of thought that the stall we saw earlier was the biggest stall I was going to see, and I didn't necessarily expect to find anything else that's reminiscent of a bargain, let alone cartridge-based video games. But we have some really great stuff coming up, plus 2 Xbox 360 consoles for £1 each.
They're my favorite. I've always wanted to go in there.
That's not full of it. They're not baseball, that's good one. Yeah.
I got this thing.
I reckon you must have blocked me because I don't see your phone. I bet you won't follow me.
Sorry? No, I think it's just a negative.
Right, I'm going to...
Hi. Come on, Nan. What you found? Wait a minute. Awesome.
Twin Oaks car boot is absolutely huge. Molly met plenty of friends, and I like these really nice wide shots because you can see how huge the boot is.
How much then?
The book's 5 and the game's 50.
Alright. Is it? Have you had a few in?
Yeah, I've had a few, but...
Would you take a pound for that, Mum?
Yeah, yeah. Cheers.
Thank you.
We don't do 3 on it?
Honestly, I can't. It's not mine. It's not mine. I've just sold one just a second ago for
Have
5.
you?
The same one.
Alright, then I'll take them. Cheers. That's fine.
Bagged a nice couple of things right there, but I got plenty more. Let's continue.
What is it, Mum? Is it your toy? Is it? What is it? Molly did. Bye. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I think we've got one at home, but it's a case of finding it because it's all everything's in boxes and that. Like, I want to check wanting to try it out. Like.
Come on, Molly. Good girl. Good girl. How much on your Game Boy Advance games?
Alright, look.
Yeah, I'm just on your GBA games.
These are £4 each. These
4 each, are they? Right.
sorted. You got. You don't see many box GBA games about.
No, you don't, do you?
And here we are. We have some Sega Mega Drive games, we have some Nintendo GameCube games, some PlayStation 3 games, and some Game Boy Advance games. I will say that some of these games felt like they were perhaps erring on the side of slightly high, but I picked up a pretty gnarly bundle and we agreed on a good price and we settled on PayPal. So I'm excited to show you guys what I got in the second half of this episode, and I'm even more excited to see if I actually got a bargain on what I paid in episode 2 of the price versus sold. That's a really poor description, but I've already explained what the second part of this video is going to be like. Now, me and Molly, well, she's met some more friends. Very dog friendly car boot is this, so totally stoked. And Molly was completely exhausted as we just finished her third lesson of her obedience training, so she was absolutely exhausted. But I love taking her to these types of things because she's just like my little soulmate, really, and I love her.
She thinks she's the boss, so letting everybody else know about it. Oh yeah.
You're about to see 2 Xbox 360 consoles, and the guy said they're untested, no leads, nothing, and he gave them to me for £1 each. But will they work?
Away. knackered as fuck.
Many Tic Tacs later.
So yes, 2 Xbox 360 consoles for £1 each, untested, no leads, no controllers. I am eager to test them, but like I said, we're going to be doing a part 2 to this video in which I'm going to be taking everything that I've picked up, looking at what I spent versus what they're actually worth. Not because I'm reselling, but because I'm just purely interested, and I think it will make for a fun second half of the video. I'm also, in that second episode, going to be testing the 360s, so make sure you guys subscribe, leave a like, and don't miss part 2. So what did I pick up then? Got some really good stuff actually. Did a bit of bartering, so if you saw any prices on the games, rest assured that wasn't them. Picked up the Incredibles on the GBA, which looks like a really nice little side-scrolling action kind of beat-em-up game. Don't own this, and all of these are boxed complete. Really happy with this. Boxed a little bit shoddy, but nonetheless, I paid a certain price for this, but like I said, part 2, I'm going to tell you exactly what I paid. These were all off the same vendor. I'm going to go kind of vendor to vendor. Also picked up Home on the Range. Never actually heard of this, so I don't really know what it's about, but it was part of this bundle. Again, this is boxed complete, inserts, all of the information, the warranty cards, etc, etc, all packed into this. Again, same vendor, Looney Tunes Back in Action. This actually has an old Game Station label on it. For those of you that's in the United Kingdom, you'll know exactly what I'm referring to. And I've never played it, but it's looking really awesome with a top-down isometric view. It says test your skill with fun mini games. Use fantastic Acme gizmos to defeat your enemies. 4 huge locations with tons of exciting challenges. This actually sounds really freaking awesome, and I'm looking forward to playing this on my GBA SP. And then finally, from the little GBA haul, we have Mission Impossible Operation Surma. Now, out of all the condition of the boxes, we're going to have a cat and dog fight. This is probably in the best condition in terms of boxes, and again, I've not played it, but it was part of a bundle. Looks really nice, little top-down shooter from what I'm kind of guessing at the back, and obviously the Mission Impossible formula works really well. I love the movies. Can we not fight, guys? Please, thank you. So I was really stoked with that. So it's very rare you find GBA titles at a car boot, but also from that same vendor, I also picked up 2 Mega Drive games, and I picked up a PS3 game. Now the first one here is Flintstones on the Sega Mega Drive, unfortunately missing manual, and this actually goes for a pretty penny. I don't own it, I've not seen it about, it's got lovely box art. I was a huge fan of the Flintstones cartoon back in the day. I really have a little soft spot for the movie as well, with Elizabeth Perkins in and Rick Moranis. Absolutely great stuff. And again, I'm looking forward to playing it. It looks to me, I'm kind of like feeling Alex Kidd vibes. Do you know what I mean? Like looking at the screenshots here, it's a side-scrolling little action quirky game within the Flintstones universe. I don't think you're going to go wrong with this. Again, same vendor. Now this next one has a price tag on it. Ignore the price tag. This is Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck. Again, complete, which I was really happy with, and it was priced up at 15, but again in part 2 I'm going to tell you what I paid. And I love Chuck Rock. I love the little dorky humour, I love the character, I love the colour palette, the level design is really nice, it's got a nice background, mid-ground, fantastic little games back in the day, Chuck Rock. And then obviously this came out, and this is actually quite decent as well. I think it's aged pretty well, and I love on the back of this, it's got a really old sticker from an old retro game store. It says the Cool Spot, games and consoles bought and sold and exchanged. This is down in Doncaster, that will. So if I've got any Doncaster viewers, do you remember a shop called the Cool Spot? Because that's where that came from. Finally, from that vendor, again, ignore the price tag, got Golden Axe on the PlayStation 3, complete, got some really nice inner box art with this, and I've not played it, but I've heard very, very bad things about the Golden Axe port over to the PlayStation 3, so I'm going to judge it for myself. And as much as I wasn't a huge fan of the blocky controls on the Sega Mega Drive Golden Axe versions, I'm kind of keeping an open mind for this one. So please don't spoil it for me, but just give me a kind of yay or nay, like, yeah, you'll enjoy it, Gem, or it's going to be a complete write-off, girl. You shouldn't have paid the cash you paid for it. But this was the first lot. So again, pretty stoked with that. Got some more cool stuff here, so don't you dare go anywhere. Right, this is a game on the Wii U that I don't own, surprisingly. Zombie U. Complete. I know that it kind of relies heavily on the trackpad to be able to kind of like shoot and interact with the zombies on the screen. I believe this was a launch title for the Wii U, and it was someone that I just don't know why I've missed it. Completely missed out on it, but it's very cheap to pick up now if you guys do want a kind of copy of this. So I'm pretty stoked actually, and it's not very often you see Wii U titles at the card boot, but if you've seen this full episode, you'll see where I picked this up from. He's actually there every week, so hopefully I'll run into that particular vendor again. And from that same guy, got two other games. Again, prices to be ignored. I picked up Beach Bandits. This is the, I've totally lost the wording of what this is, but you'll recognise the characters. That kind of similar artwork. So I think it was like Hey Arnold kind of artwork. But this looks cool. It says here, school's out and Rocket Power kids are ready to have the most extreme summer yet. And it just looks like loads of little mini games like zip lines and kind of jet skis. Again, it actually goes for a pretty penny. I've already checked a couple of prices on this in preparation for part 2, but I didn't pay too much for it. So really stoked with that one. And then finally from that vendor, got Kengo Zero. So this looks a little bit like just a kind of fighting game. Live and die by your sword. Play of 9 real samurai warriors with unique attacks and storylines. Use the scenery to your advantage and perform stunning instant kills. Duel a friend, love me bit of couch co-op. In a 2-player combat, carve out your place in history. Cool as F. So really gnarly, and I will say that the games in here are really nice condition. There's barely any scratches, so that's a double thumbs up in my opinion. Finally then, couple of things here. Picked up Quake 4 on the Xbox 360, which I don't own. This has a bonus disc inside, which I'm not entirely sure, maybe like the making of or something on this, I don't know. This is in super condition, guys, really beautiful condition. And this was from the same vendor that I picked up the Resident Evil 5 game guide for. Again, she gave me a bargain on these, nice little deal here. So I was really, really happy with that, and I'm really eager to see what this is actually all worth if we were to go online and just kind of price it up. So that's why you need to tune in to part 2 to find out exactly if those Xbox 360 console units work and what this is all worth. And actually, to answer the question, did I get a bargain or was everything kind of right on point? So guys, thank you so much for watching this car boot retro game hunt. There'll be plenty more game hunts coming. I have a £5 video game challenge filmed. I have part 2 of this ready to kind of get filmed. So lots of good content coming your way. If you're kind enough and you think I'm worth it, please hit that subscribe button. It'll really help us climb to 40,000 subscribers. And maybe one day we can do this more often and put out more content on a full-time basis. But for now, I hope you have a wicked day. My name's Gemma. Take care. See you soon.